Welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve, where communication matters. Join us as we discuss effective ways to communicate, bridge the gaps, and build long-lasting relationships within your business and life. Here are your hosts, Asha Prasad and Steve Harper.
Hey, welcome to Conversations with Asha and Steve. I am Steve Harper, and with me as always is my fantabulous co-host, the word she taught me, Dr. Asha Prasad. How you doing, Dr. Asha?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you?
Good.
I
Are
make
you
up
impressed
words.
with my vocabulary?
I am. You know what? And you know what? I make up words. So just be careful if you play Scrabble with any words that I teach you, because you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm gonna lose anyway because I'm a simpleton when it comes to
Yeah, me too.
my wife. We used to like that online game, Words with Friends or online Scrabble. We would like play each
Yeah.
other while we were both on our iPads, and she was like, "Yeah, this is like playing with a third grader." You like, do you not like invest in like a dictionary to know any big words? I'm like,
Oh God.
well, gosh, I thought I did, but
I know.
or I always
But
come up
Kathy's
with
Kathy's
the,
really smart, I tell you.
yeah, she
Kathy's
is.
really
Yeah,
smart.
wait. Well,
I
you'd
mean,
say
you
that, but
you
then
are
she married
intelligent.
me, so I mean, you got to question whether that's even a possibility. But we're talking today about finding happiness in the little things. This is a
Hmm.
this is a I'm excited about this. Happiness in the little things. Like I
Yeah.
wonder, what did you have in mind when you sort of proposed this, right? When
Yeah.
is it in the our everyday actions? Is it in the relationships, or what are the things that we should be finding happiness in? I guess.
I think it's in everything. To be honest with
Oh,
you,
I love
Steve,
that.
because like it's one of those things that I think, and definitely I will say this as an entrepreneur. A lot of times we can get so hyper focused on the things that aren't going well, the things
Yep.
that aren't working out, and we will just, fester. We start to fester, fester, fester. And it's like, oh my God. And we just suck the joy and the happiness out of the moments in our life when there's a lot of great things that are going on. So that's why I think it's in everything, starting to, for
I love that.
example, be grateful for everything. Really be grateful for everything, literally everything that's happening, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's, whatever it is, being grateful for it, I think helps finding the joy in little things. The little wins are just as important as the big wins.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think
Well, and
that's,
those joyful moments that you're talking about, they become more joyful when you put your emphasis and your attention towards them, right?
exactly.
My sister was recently in town. I hadn't seen her in quite a while, and she came into town, and she'd been, has heard from me all these years about this great hiking trail that we have near our house.
Hmm.
And she was like, "Oh, we were on it." And she was like, I can totally get why you like this. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
awesome. It's like so close and convenient. And she's like, "But what do you pull out of it?" I said, "There's a couple of things I pull out of this. Number one, I can be having a really super stressful day at the office, but I'll
Hmm.
leave, go home, get my hiking shoes on, and I just hit the trail. And that's where I do my best
Hmm.
thinking. I've worked out so many different things, right? Working on a problem, coming up with a new keynote,
Yeah.
just it's my sort of my mental recharge zone, if you will. So, but
Hmm.
the thing that I like the most is I get to see the squirrels climbing in the trees. I get to see these pretty
Yeah.
flowers along the path, and every once in a while you'll catch something you never expected, like you'll see a mushroom or you'll see something that's unique.
Yeah.
And I have tried to remind myself when I see these things happen that those are the opportunity for me to find joy in those moments, right? To smile.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder that, when you take the time to stop and take notice, there's joy in
Hmm.
almost like you said, everything that you can go and
Yeah.
encounter out there. And so it's not just this shift shaping approach to creating a reset for my mental health, but it's also
Hmm.
just the physical being of being out there
Yeah.
where I really have found the most joy and appreciation for the fact that I'm smart enough to know when I've reached my limit and it's time to go,
Yeah.
do something different. And that is where I want to spend my time. And so those joyful moments I think are really key. So,
That is really key. And you know what, Steve? It is interesting because you're talking about nature and being outside. I think connecting with nature
yeah,
is one of those things that is one of the quickest ways to find the joy in those small little things. I mean, watching, like if you go really early in the morning, for example, and you've got the morning dew on the grass and on the leaves. I mean, just observing that kind of thing, or
Yeah.
going at sunset and just watching the sunset. I mean, those kinds of things, connecting with nature gets us back to the essence of who we are. We forget a lot of times that we are part of nature. I
Yeah.
mean, we really are. And whenever we connect with that and we connect with the beauty of it and the synchronicities that are happening without any effort, really, things are just
Yeah.
flowing together. I think that you can really get into a very blissful, happy state. And it's those moments that you're talking about that you were just sharing that really carry you through the day.
Absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
we all get so caught up in the craziness of our day-to-day lives that we don't often
Hmm.
stop to acknowledge or pay attention to the joyful moments. I think
Yeah.
that's an important aspect, that you've got to stop and pay attention and find a
Yeah.
way to, record those situations as they unfold and identify them, because they are, those things that really stand out only stand out, in the moment. And if you can capture those in your journal, or you can write it down, or even record
Yeah.
it to your phone when you're out doing something that really brings you joy, those things can also be things that you can reference back when things aren't going so
Yeah.
well, or maybe things are a little bit down. Coming back and reminding yourself of those things that are important to
Hmm.
you are really key. I'd also say that you've got to find the one thing that makes the most difference, right, to you. To
Hmm.
the joyful approach that you have to, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's spending time with a good friend, maybe it's having a cup
Yeah.
of coffee, on your back porch, listening to the wind in the trees. My sister, again, back talking about her, but she was telling me about the house that they live in now. They've got these big whispering pines, and she said her favorite thing in the
Oh,
world is to sit out back and have a tea and just listen, right? Just listen to nature and enjoy
yeah.
the process. And so I think you got to find that one thing that you love above all else, whether
Yeah.
that's spending time with an individual, or going through an experience, hiking, a hobby,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But you got to find that
Yeah.
one thing, because that becomes one of your guides when things aren't going so well, or you need a break from the craziness of life or work,
Exactly.
to go lose yourself a little bit in the one thing.
That's really important. I mean, I love sounds in nature. Like I love even hearing on a rainy day. It rains here a lot, so
Yeah.
I've I've learned to love it because I love just the sound of rain sometimes. It's just so peaceful. Not the like downpours, but like the just the drizzle. It's so peaceful. And you can get lost in that, and it
Yep.
reminds you of not to take things too seriously and just kind of enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
So I think this is super important too, Steve, as an entrepreneur, business owner, manager, whatever position you're in. I think we need to be reminded of this, of bringing more happiness, bringing more of
Yeah.
those moments to our everyday life, because so much is going on. I know that we're all super busy, but taking these moments really help give us more fulfillment, I think, in everything that we're out there doing.
Well, yeah, and when you find them and you are recharging yourself, you're sort of by
Hmm.
extension also giving the guide for everybody else, that
Yeah.
you come back refreshed, you're in a better mood, you have kind of a reset, if you will, and that has an
Hmm.
impact to the people that you're leading or you're working with, or even just your family, because you're coming from it from a place that that really makes you sort of happy, which just allows
Yeah.
you to come back and, okay, now I got to get back into the combat of the day to day work that I've got to deal with.
Yeah.
But I that reset can make a huge impact and have that really positive ripple effect for not only
Yeah.
you but
True.
everybody else, because you
Yeah.
don't do yourself any good if you're just constantly beating your head against a
Yeah.
problem or an issue, or just constantly pushing just for work. So I think it's really critical to find and build in those opportunities to have those joyful moments and be intentional about it.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I think so too. I mean, it's one of those things that I think in coaching clients, that I have found that whenever they're not really focusing on the happiness and the joy,
Yep.
is when they're the most frustrated in their work.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're really they kind of hit a plateau in their business, and they're not able to really grow beyond a point. And I think that once they start looking at this is also a very important aspect of working on and paying more attention to.
Yep. Well, I suggest we finish up this episode and we go find some joyful moments. today.
Yes, let's
And we
let's
encourage our
go.
listeners to do the same. I mean, after you're done listening to us, of course, but then after that, go find some joyful,
Go find some.
experiences,
Yeah,
joyful moments that you can incorporate into your day, in your life. And I think come back to us. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are and
yeah,
your feedback on this, what you do to find joy in your day-to-day life. We'd love to hear some of those ideas and thoughts because you may have come up with something that none of us have come up with. So we
exactly.
certainly could learn from that. But Asha, how do people get involved and get engaged with conversations with Asha and Steve so that we can continue the conversation? Maybe if they have ideas or suggestions for a future episode they'd like us to talk about.
Yep. So they can visit us at conversationswithashansteve.com or reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram. Definitely, we'd love to hear feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Anything that we can help you with. And I'd love to hear from our listeners about this. Like, what do they do to find the joyful moments? Really,
Yes.
I would really love to hear that. So reach out to us there, and yeah, we'll get back in touch with you. We'll make a comment about whatever you share with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you guys watching and tuning into another episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. If you happen to be catching this on YouTube, do us a favor, be sure to subscribe so you're always notified when we post a new video. You can subscribe to our channel and then click the notification bell to be alerted when that actually happens. If you happen to be catching us on any of the podcast platforms, we appreciate it. Wherever your ears might lead you, we're grateful that you're there and able to share this experience together. And of course, share us. Let your network
Yeah.
know that you've found a podcast that's upbeat, inspirational, and certainly something you find value from that they might as well. So we would appreciate if you'd help us promote it and get other people listening because that's how we grow our audience. So we greatly appreciate it. Asha, this was awesome. Thanks so much. And we will be back again
Thank
really
you.
soon with a new episode.
Okay, till next time, Steve.
Till next time. Bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Conversations with Asha and Steve. We love to hear feedback and questions from our listeners. Please feel free to visit our Facebook page for more tips and information. You can also email us directly at info@ripplecentral.com for more information.